I want to at least be interested on Randy reporting this back to Joey that Heather was meeting up with Dani and Andre. I don't know exactly what Joey will do about that, but I would love for it to lead to something interesting. What is up, fellow Beyond the Gates viewers? Here to talk about today's Friday episode. I don't know if I would completely call today a filler Friday, honestly. At least there was some movement in the Andre and Heather stuff, but overall, I do feel like this was a mostly boring episode to top off what has been one of the most boring weeks of this show, but let's get into it. They honestly annoyed me right off the bat with Caroline bringing Noami files in Bill's office, and Noami asking Caroline if she thinks Haley is cheating on Bill, and Caroline saying she has no evidence, which I don't think Caroline does from what I can recall. But then Naomi's like kind of being pushy with Caroline, saying a time will come when Caroline will have to speak up or not. She hopes Caroline will make the right choice. But I'm like, Caroline just saved your dumb father's ass, Noami. I don't really know why Noami was giving shit to Caroline today. That was annoying. Bill and Haley were, of course, in Bill's hospital room, with Haley saying that the hospital said they would ban her if her and Bill get frisky again. Bill says the hell they will, threatens a lawsuit against the hospital. Haley has to tell Bill to not get riled up. Ashley comes in, and of course, Haley gets into it with Ashley. Haley wants results to speed up for Bill. That was basically what Haley kept giving Ashley shit about in the first half of this episode. Andre and Dani were out together, with Dani saying that she is going to try and be a super attentive wife today. But in came Heather, with Dani happy to see her, and Andre shocked to see her, and I think obviously shocked that Heather and Dani know each other. Andre was trying not to freak out, but you could clearly see that he was freaking out inside. Heather says, "Isn't this just the best coincidence?" Heather tells Andre that she's heard good things about him too, and Andre says that Dani never mentioned her. Dani wanted Heather to join them, even though Dani just told Andre she was going to be a super attentive wife. Yeah, let's have Heather join the table for a distraction so I'm not attentive. But Andre had to sit there and watch as Heather and Dani hype each other up, and he learns that they met a couple of times. So Andre having to watch this woman from his past with his current wife, this mysterious, dangerous Heather. Meanwhile, Haley called Randy wanting to meet. Randy was saying he was too busy to meet because we got to see that Randy was following Heather for Joey. I want to at least be interested on Randy reporting this back to Joey that Heather was meeting up with Dani and Andre. I don't know exactly what Joey will do about that, but I would love for it to lead to something interesting. But yeah, Randy was spying on Heather and Dani and Andre. Heather left, and Dani was like, "Isn't she great?" And Andre says that she is still an Armstrong, and maybe Dani should keep her distance. So Andre trying to give Dani a warning here. Andre then went to go see Heather to accuse her of spying on he and Dani. Heather denies it, says it was just a coincidence. I don't know if I believe her. She says that she knew that Andre was going to come here, though, and she started to come on to Andre again. He stops her. He says he's happily married. He says that whatever this is has to stop. Andre wants Dani to not know that he and Heather have history, unless, of course, Heather is there to let Dani know, which Heather says she's not. Heather said she does not plan on spilling the beans, and Andre asks why she befriended Dani without telling him. I think all Andre wanted out of this conversation was to get Heather to promise to stay away from Dani, admitting that he loves Dani a lot, which Heather could see, even though she was saying that Andre is boring now, and this is why she hates marriage. People lose their sense of humor. But Heather says that she will do that for Andre if he gives her what she wants. She said, do it and she will return the favor. Now, I don't know exactly what Heather wants Andre to do, what this is about. I just hope it's interesting. So all I can say about these stories right now is I hope this leads to something interesting. He says he's going to leave. She says, think about it, but don't take too long. Hopefully this is something to look forward to next week if it doesn't get stretched out too long. Because right now, as I've been saying for weeks now, this is like the Andre, Dani, Heather, Bill, Haley stuff. Kind of the only interesting thing on this show right now. Haley and Randy did meet up to have repeat conversations that I didn't really pay attention to. Then Dani ends up finding Haley in Bill's office and gets into it with her, gives shit to Haley about not being there for Bill, of course. Dani's always acting like Haley wants to be anywhere but taking care of Bill. But per usual lately, I thought Haley got the best of Dani, getting in Dani's face about how Dani needs to start putting her own husband Andre first, and how Dani's saying that she doesn't need to worry about Andre and Andre is taken care of. But I think Haley called her out on her bullshit here, and that was always nice to see. I have been enjoying Haley getting the best of Dani these days. Kat and Tomas were sadly out and about together at the beginning of this episode, but acknowledging that they haven't been spending a lot of time together. It would be nice if this was all leading to these two breaking up, but God knows how long that will take on this show. Tomas is busy, so he can't stay for breakfast. Kat wants to have breakfast with Chelsea. Anyway, now Chelsea was having a nightmare. Luckily for her, Madison is back in town. Chelsea is having a nightmare because today marked 1 year since Allison kidnapped her. So we're getting a call back to that storyline last year, which was at least an interesting storyline. But unless they're actually going to bring Allison back and it's going to be a good storyline, I don't really know why we are rehashing this. But Tomas interrupted and called and wanted to talk to Madison ASAP. So Chelsea was alone. She was trying to listen to calming music and meditate, but Bill and Dani interrupted her with text messages. The text messages were trying to send her love because they know this is the year anniversary of what happened to Chelsea last year. But when she's reading the text messages, she keeps getting flashes back to Allison holding that knife on her while she was being held captive. Chelsea then got a phone call actually, Chelsea went to go see Kat first. They discussed Kat. That's when Chelsea got a phone call that just hung up when she answered. So, of course, that made her feel uneasy. And Kat was just yapping along, trying to talk about Kat, even though clearly Chelsea was shook. But Kat just says that she didn't want to bring up today being the anniversary, but Chelsea does seem to want to talk about it. Chelsea talking about how she wanted to keep it pushing like it was any other day, but she has been a mess all morning. Later in the episode, she got another call that hung up, and she thinks it probably is Allison. So maybe we are getting an Allison rehash. I don't know how I feel. I don't mind it. I liked Psycho Allison, honestly, but I would prefer a good long-term storyline right now. But maybe we don't need another long-term storyline. Maybe not. Maybe we've had enough stretched out storylines that we need a short-term storyline that isn't Allison return to cause a little havoc in Chelsea's life. Actually, maybe I've just changed my mind thinking about it right now. Maybe that is something the show needs to inject some kind of life into it. Madison meets with Noami. They talk about Chelsea's nightmare. Tomas comes in saying Mike reached out because he is frustrated at how Noami is handling things. And this is, of course, in Bill's office. So, Tomas likes to try and throw his weight around in Bill's office. Noami says that Mike only doesn't like the way she's handling things because Mike is misogynist. Tomas and Noami bicker per usual. Mike does come in, says his client will like to settle. Noami says that's not even on the table, but Tomas interrupts and says, let's hear him out. And then later, Tomas and Mike are both trying to talk Madison into a settlement. Noami has to be the one to fight back. Noami later tells Tomas that taking a settlement holds Madison guilty in the court of public opinion, so Noami doesn't think that Madison should do this for her career. Noami goes to Bill's hospital room, talks about the Mike situation in the case and how Tomas wanted to cut a deal. And Bill is upset and says, "Leave Tomas to me." So Tomas is called over to talk to Bill in his hospital room to get yelled at by Bill, where Bill tells Tomas to stay in his lane and stop worrying about Noami. That was today's episode. I wish I could say that this whole Tomas being a dick about Bill makes the character much more interesting. To me, it doesn't. Like, it is a change of pace, but like I've been saying, unless they're going to go full on villain with Tomas, he's still just a character that doesn't do it for me. And it's still pretty fast forward material. And just overall, the whole Madison storyline, so much of it has taken place off screen that why would we be invested in the outcome in the first place? So I do think overall this was unfortunately a very boring week. And overall, I don't think this show currently has one good storyline. It has a couple of mediocre things that can be interesting, like the Andre and Heather stuff, and then you add in the Bill and Dani elevator sex and the Haley of it all. There's still potential there. Sometimes it's entertaining to me. I'm a little intrigued by what Heather wants Andre to do and what Joey might do about it. I don't know. But yeah, overall, the show is in desperate need of a more interesting storyline, or they need to learn how to do a better pace. The pacing on this show is horrid. Having to see Randy and Haley sit there and have the same exact conversation they probably had 50 times this year is bad. We don't need to see Randy and Haley rehash the same thing about Bill's poisoning. Please, no more. Move it along. So we'll see what next week brings. I think the Andre and Heather stuff might be the only interesting thing about next week, but we'll see. I'll talk about the preview on Sunday like I usually do. Until then, let me know how you enjoyed this week in the comments, or how you found it boring, because I think most of you probably agree with me.